But please take notes because I do not have a PowerPoint for you this evening, but please take notes on this if you would like to retain this information. It helps, trust me. So in-season lifting, I think it's something that a lot of kids miss because, and I can see it as a coach because I get to see you guys right after your high school season. And usually at that point, everybody is healthy and really feeling good. We've only played 20 to 30 games. But then when we get into the summer, we go down to Florida, it's 95 degrees. You play 8 games in that weather, and then you have 3 days off. And then you go to Georgia where it's 95 degrees there too. And then you play 8 games in 7 days in Georgia, right? So it really stacks up in what you're doing in the season to maintain everything that you've done the entire off season is really important, because if you don't do anything to maintain that, it's gone, you lose it. Okay. It's very common in college that guys put on a lot of weight and lose 10 to 15 pounds during the season. That's very, very common and almost expected because you're going at a crazy pace for 4 months. And you're playing 57 games in the season, not counting, or 56 games, not counting the postseason. And then you go play summer ball, which in some leagues is 72 plus games. So it's very, very common to lose weight. And I see it with our kids in our organization that by the end of the summer, some kids are breaking down. Pitchers velo is 3 to 4 miles per hour lower than what it was earlier. And that is predominantly strength conditioning. If we're strong and we're healthy because we've done the things we need to do and we've created strength in the right places, then we can compete at a high level for a long period of time. Look at big leaguers. They start every 5 days. In college, you don't even do that. You start every 7 days. So they start every 5 days and they're able to maintain. Now they have the best training in the world. They have the best information in the world, and it's their career to focus on that. So they're certainly doing what they need to do. But there certainly should be some aspect of that you guys are implementing into what you're doing throughout the season as well. So typically in the off season, you guys should be maybe not lifting weights 4 days a week, but you're active and you're doing some sort of strength and or conditioning 3 to 4 days a week. In season, we're going to pull that back a little bit because we're not trying to break your muscles down and fatigue so we can grow. We're trying to maintain. So if you're 3 to 4 days a week off season, in season, we got to be 2 to 3 days a week. And what you're doing in the weight room is just as important as the frequency that we're in there. So think about it in the off season, when we're trying to put on weight, we're trying to get a lot stronger. We are absolutely hammering out the weights. There's a lot more volume. We're breaking our muscles down and hopefully with good nutrition, rebuilding those muscles back up. In the in season, we do not want to break our muscles down. We just want to maintain. So that there will, if we're talking in, as far as anatomy and biology, there's certainly, every time we lift, there's certainly some sort of breakdown of that muscle, but we don't want to go in insane amount of volume and create soreness. And now we're going to play and we're sore and we can't compete at the highest level. So what we want to focus on in season is we're not doing less weight because we want to maintain strength. So if we're squatting, if your max squat is 315, you got 3 plates on either side of the bar, 315. We don't want to just put 135 on the bar and do that. That's not going to help us maintain that level of strength that we just built up. But the volume is going to be different. So if we're doing 275 for 5 reps or 3 sets of 5 reps off season, then we go to 275 for 2 sets of 3 reps, right? Just for a very general example. Okay, so we're going to pull back volume. We're going to pull back the amount, the frequency that we're going into the weight room, but we are still going to load up that bar and put a lot of weight on there and focus on moving that explosively and quickly. Now, I guess I should have prefaced with this, but I'm not a strength coach, but I was fortunate enough to get to do this stuff in college, and I could see what worked and what didn't. Keep in mind here, every week your schedule is probably going to be different. So let's go through a typical schedule for a high school kid. You wake up, get to school at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8. You have class until 2:45. You go right to practice from 3:30 to 5:30 or 6. And I know some of you are probably laughing, like, what, we practice at 7 o'clock. Some of you might do that, which makes it even tougher. So when are you able to squeeze in a maintenance lift? Should be 45 minutes to an hour for those lifts. Well, it's either before you go to school, and I know that you're rolling your eyes because nobody wants to wake up that early, but that's when you might have to do it, or we got to go late at night. But then when are you doing your schoolwork, right? Because schoolwork is obviously incredibly important too. You have to get good grades so you can get into the school you want, the college you want someday, but you also have to stay eligible. And it's really, really easy to fall behind academically in season because what are we so focused on? We're focused on baseball, we're focused on our season, but we can't lose sight of that academics as well. So after you get home for practice, that's when you got to do your schoolwork. So we either got to lift before school, find a time to sometime in between that crazy schedule you have to do that, or late at night. Now, I'm not here to tell you which one is correct or which you should do. That's going to be completely up to you and what you're able to do. But you have to think about that schedule. It can't just be, well, I'm just going to squeeze it in whenever I can. I promise you, if you do that, then you won't have time. If you don't make it important to put that in the schedule, then you're not going to do it. I've experienced that myself a lot. That's what we would call procrastination, right? I'll just do it when it's convenient. Well, there's never going to be a convenient time in the season to do that, but you have to understand how important it is. And if it's really important to you, then you'll find a time to do it. Okay. Now that's in the high school season. When we're in the summer season, you're traveling, you're on the road, staying in hotels, sometimes Airbnbs. So when can you work out there? And again, we plan out a schedule, find a Planet Fitness near you. It's like $10 to go there. And if you have a membership, you can go to any Planet Fitness there is. So be thinking about that because, and I know there's a lot of guys on here that are thinking back to last summer. I'm like, man, I didn't really lift at all, only when I was home. Well, you're going to be on the road a lot throughout this upcoming season. So plan ahead, be ready, and put it into your schedule so that you have time to do that. But with the schedule that's going on, going back to high school season, sometimes you might play Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Sometimes you might play Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday. You get where I'm going with that. Okay. It's always going to be different. So we have to have a fluid schedule there. And that's why we have to look ahead and plan ahead for the whole next week, because every week's probably going to be different. You're going to have rainouts on certain days. You're going to have rescheduled games pop up. So it's really important to, again, plan it out and make sure that you have a schedule and you're making it a point to invest the time in maintenance. Okay. And last thing about that lifting in season, recovery is so important. Again, we might not focus on recovery as much in the off season because we're trying to break down our muscles and then build them back up. So building back up would be partially recovery. But if we're lifting and we are still training and putting our muscles through stress in the season, then we have to focus on recovery. So when we go to that game, my legs don't feel like they're 1,000,000 pounds because I just squatted yesterday, or my shoulders aren't really tight because I just benched yesterday, right? So recovery is really important. And we could probably do an entire webinar just on recovery. But I know, for example, our pitchers in college, they had an individualized routine the day before they threw and the day after they threw. And typically the day after is all recovery stuff, right? So lightweight, dumbbells, doing shoulder recovery stuff, just trying to get blood moving through those muscles that were broken down as they were pitching in that game, so that they can recover quickly, get back to their practice and training routine, and then get ready for their next start or their next appearance. So recovery is really important. And guys, recovery might be walking on the treadmill for 20 minutes, just getting blood moving through your body, getting blood moving through those muscles so that they can help repair earlier. Icing now, icing has somehow become kind of controversial, but icing after games so that we're decreasing inflammation and we're allowing our body to recover quickly. And there's a lot of technology and stuff out there that you may or may not have access to, but you have the, I'm forgetting the names of all this stuff. You have the stim machines and all that stuff. So if you have that stuff, awesome. If not, it's not 100% necessary. It certainly helps, but make sure we're investing time in recovery as well, because the whole reason we're doing this is so that when you toe that rubber or you step into the plate, you're able to compete at peak performance as frequently as possible. And what you did in the off season is putting you in a position to do that. And we have to make sure that we're maintaining that. All right. So that's kind of it on lifting in season. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below about that. And questions are good. So please ask questions. All right. So now let's talk about routine. Okay. And lifting in season is certainly should be part of your routine, but I want to talk kind of more pre-game routine. There's a mental aspect to the pre-game routine as well as a physical aspect to the pre-game routine. And they both kind of intertwine, but there are things that we should be doing to, again, get you ready to compete at peak performance as frequently as possible. And as all you guys know, this game will beat you down and there's a ton of failure. And sometimes it's really, really difficult to get yourself out of a rut and back into feeling good again or being confident again. And that, for me, always comes back to routine. And we talk about routine like we're priming our body to get ready to go compete. But in my mind, that routine, as it may be physical, but it's more in line to get your mind ready to compete and get you back feeling confident and ready to go. So we talk in college and professional baseball, almost every single school now has mental coaches. And one of their sole jobs and what they helped us with were developing a routine, pre-game, post-game, in-game. Okay. So part of the mental game is, when do you start getting ready for a game? I know I've experienced in my career, stepping onto the field and not feeling ready to play. Well, that's because my routine wasn't in line. It wasn't getting me ready for pitch number one. And then I had my first at bat and I struck out or rolled over and then I'm woken up and then I'm going. Now, if you're going to play at an elite level, you have to have that done already. So that pre-game routine, what you're doing mentally, what you're doing physically, should be getting you ready for pitch number one, not getting you ready for the seventh inning. Okay. Getting you ready for pitch number one. And in this sport, you can't take one pitch off. Okay. My college coach used to always say, and some of you guys might have heard me say this before, but if we could take back, and every loss that you have, if you could take back your 5 worst pitches throughout that game, no matter the result, just redo them, you'd win over 90% of the games. And I started paying attention to that, and it's true. Well, how many pitchers are thrown in a game? In the big leagues, 130, 140 plus pitches, and you don't know which 5 that's going to be. It might be the first pitch of the game, might be the last pitch of the game, or might be any of those 140 pitches in between that. So if we're not ready for that pitch, then we might lose that pitch, and that might be a pitch that determines the outcome of that game or the outcome of the bat or whatever it may be. So when are you starting to get ready? Is it when you show up to the field? Is it when you're driving on your way to the park? But there has to be some sort of switch that we're flipping from relaxed mode to game mode. Get ready. Okay. what are you doing to get ready? Okay. So when do you start getting ready? And then what are you doing to get ready? My freshman year, we had a mental conditioning coach. His name's Brian Kane. He's developed a pretty big name for himself. It was really awesome being able to work with him. And we actually had a little puzzle, a booklet that was like our mental game booklet. And we had puzzles and crosswords and some more kind of, I guess, specific things to get your mind ready to play. And your job was, before every single practice and before every single game, you complete one of those puzzles. And they're very specifically designed so that we're firing up our brain in the right way, so that we're peaking at the right time. But I had teammates that would read before the games. I had teammates that would write before games, and that specific kid that I'm thinking of, I asked him what he was writing, and he would write down what his thoughts were, and what he was feeling right then. So if it was bad or negative thoughts, he was aware of it and he could make an adjustment. If they're good thoughts, just reinforcing those good thoughts. So I know for a fact there's hardly any high school kids doing that. They have a game at 6 o'clock and they show up to the field at 4:30, put their jersey and pants on and run out on the field and start stretching. Well, when did we have time there to really get our mentally ready for that game? Probably not. And chances are, if we're just rushing out into the field, then we're not getting ready in time. So there has to be some sort of routine, okay, to get you ready to go. And I did the reading thing. I did the writing thing as well. I was really, I always felt like I put a big emphasis on that mental side of the game, and it is incredibly important. But that's going to be completely individual to you. Some guys might like to do this, some guys might like to do that, but you got to figure out a way for you to kind of internally get yourself ready to go. You always hear those or see on TV the pitchers that won't talk to anybody, and they'll sit there and they'll stare at their glove and they're getting all psyched up for their start. That's perfectly fine. Some people have to do that to get ready. Other guys might tell stories and play cards before the game. And that's just how that they get themselves ready. So it's going to be completely different for everybody. Invest the time to figure out what that is for you, so that you are, again, competing at peak levels when you need to be competing. Because at this stage in your career, most of you in high school, and some of you on here might be younger than high school, which is great because you're getting this information early. But now's the time. Every single pitch is incredibly important. You don't know which pitch is going to make or break that college coach sitting in the stands, determining whether or not he wants you to come to his school or if he's going to pass. So we can't afford to go into games lackadaisically and just hope that we're going to do really well without really properly preparing. Okay. And then, are you keeping tabs on where you're at mentally? So are you even paying attention to that? We have, this game is like this. You feel bad, then you feel great. And then you strike out 3 times and you feel bad again, right? If we're not aware of that, it's so easy to spiral out of control mentally. Okay. And that 1 0 for 3 game with 3 strikeouts turns into 2 0 for 3 games, turns into 3. That's what we call a slump. Now, I'm a firm believer you're only in a slump if you believe you're in a slump, but it's really easy for that to happen. And then before you know it, 3 weeks have gone by and you're still not confident and you still aren't feeling good. So we have to have a routine that we can fall back on to get us back into the right mentality. Okay. So we got to be paying attention to that. And that might be writing. For me, I had a booklet, and I've talked about this a lot. I had a booklet, I have it here somewhere, that I charted every single at bat, and I would write down what I did good, what I did bad, and what I was feeling or thinking in that particular at bat. And that was really important. At the end of every game, I'd write notes on what adjustments I had to make. And it was mostly mental stuff, right? It was hardly any physical stuff. It was almost all mental. Like I wasn't seeing his slider well, and I was really thinking about it. And then I didn't have any confidence I was going to be able to fight it off with 2 strikes, whatever it may be. But we have to make sure that we're keeping tabs on that, because if we don't pay attention to it, that's when we spiral. That's when it gets out of control and we dig ourselves in such a deep hole that it becomes really, really difficult to get back out of that hole. So find if it's you sitting in your locker after the game just thinking about it, great. If it's you have to write it down, great. If it's you have to talk to your parents about it, awesome. If you have to text me about it, awesome. But whatever it is that you need to do to get you feeling good again, do it. And if that takes time to understand what's going to work best for you, there are guys in the big leagues that's taking their entire career to really figure it out. And then boom, light bulb goes off. They figure out what they need to do to keep themselves functioning at the highest level they can. Okay. Now, physically, hitting, pitching, fielding, you should have a routine that gets your body ready to go. And to me, this is where it intertwines with what we're doing mentally. If hitting off the tee by yourself gets you ready, then that's what we do. And I understand how difficult it is. And sometimes it's almost impossible for you guys in high school that the game starts at 4:30 and you get out of school at 2:45 and you start stretching at 3:15. So I understand that sometimes it's almost impossible to get a little bit of extra work in. So, but that might be the night before, then the night before a game you go hit, right? So there's an excuse for every single thing of why not to do it. But there's also a solution to how you can do it. And if it's important to you enough, then you'll find a way. Okay. So if it's waking up at 5 o'clock and going in and hitting on the day of a game to a local facility or somewhere where you can get access, I know that might be difficult. But I promise if you ask a coach that runs a facility, then coaches love that kind of stuff. Okay. So they'll let you in there. But what you do to prepare yourself for that game is essential. And when you get to college, there's early work every single day and it's optional. Okay. I've literally had coaches text our group and say, hey, optional lift tomorrow. And the optionals in quotes, which means it's really not optional, but to cover their butt in the NCAA clearinghouse stuff, they have to say it's optional. But you had early work every single day, and we would make our class schedules so that when we had a 7 p.m. game on a Friday night, that we're done at 1 or 2 o'clock, so we can get to the field early so that we can do our stuff to get ourselves ready. And again, that's going to be individual because everybody's routine before the game is going to be different. Everybody has different drills that gets them feeling good. Everybody has a different process to get them feeling good. Every single pitcher, like I just said, some guys like to play cards before they go out and start stretching. And some guys are sitting there not talking to anybody, listening to screamo heavy metal music, staring at their glove, just ready to shove it down someone's throat, right? Everybody's a little bit different. Okay. And we focus so much on hitting and pitching, but that's defense as well. If we gotta do ladder drills to get your body ready before a game, then that's what we do. But it's up to you to figure that out. I've had coaches that had everybody do one routine, and in my mind, that doesn't really work because we might be doing things that don't make me feel good or don't get me ready to compete at the best I can. So find time to do something individually to get you ready for the game before the team stuff starts before that game. Okay. All right. So we got a couple minutes left here. I don't know if you see that timer, but we got 6 minutes and 30 seconds. That 40 minutes has gone by quickly. All right. So I just have, last thing I have written here is be a leader. Okay. Now at US Elite, we preach uncommon standards. And that's incredibly important to me. It's incredibly important should be everybody in this organization. But if you only practice uncommon standards when you're wearing the red, white, and blue with US Elite across the chest, are you really an uncommon player? And sometimes that's uncomfortable to say to kids, but that's up to you to kind of decide that, because we get reports from high school coaches. Most of the time they're great. Most of the time the reports we get from our guys are great. I truly believe we have the right kids, the right families, the right people in this organization. But there are times where we get reports that are a little alarming, like so-and-so, I was watching so-and-so's game and comes off the field dropping F-bombs and yelling at the umpire. And I'm like, man, everything we talk about, so you just forget when you go play for a different team. Remember, who you are when you're not with us is really, in my mind, who you are. Okay, so and again, that's up to you to decide if that's you or not you. And here's why that typically happens. You go to your high school team, you're the only US Elite player that's really focused on uncommon standards on that team. Everybody does something one way, and you don't want to be that one guy that does it a different way. Well, let me tell you a quick little story, and I don't mean to talk about myself. This is more about my dad, I guess. But my freshman year of high school, I was going to tryouts, and I was nervous, as every freshman probably is for their first tryouts. And I asked some of my teammates what they were wearing, and they were wearing shorts because we were inside. And my dad made me wear baseball pants, and I was so embarrassed. I was the only kid wearing baseball pants. But we're ball players, so we should wear baseball pants. And I knew that, but nobody else was wearing baseball pants. I didn't want to be the only kid that wasn't wearing baseball pants. And so I showed up practicing baseball pants. Seniors were making fun of me. I remember it. And I was self-conscious about it. It's so weird because it's just baseball pants. And looking back, it seems so minute or minuscule. But every single practice that year, everybody on the team, even outside practices, and I know this is weird, they wore sweatpants or shorts to practice. That was allowed, and that was the culture that we had. And I asked my dad 20 times if I could wear shorts, and he said no. Every single time. You're a ball player, you're going to wear baseball pants. So I wore baseball pants every single day. Well, by the end of that season, every single kid on that team was wearing baseball pants. Okay. And that's not because I was yelling at him and telling him to wear baseball pants. It was because I had good people around me that were keeping me in line and having me do it the right way. And when you do it the right way and you stick to your guns and you lead by example, everybody else will follow. Okay. I think that's really, really important. And baseball pants was just an example. That goes for sprinting on and off the field. That goes for not slamming your gear when you strike out and you come back in the dugout. That goes for no profanity, when you're around other people. That goes for taking your hat off in public. That stuff carries over. And regardless of, the right people will fall in line and they will do what is right. You got to be that guy that is leading the way and doing it the right way. Okay. And tonight, whenever I post this recording, I'm also going to post the webinar we did about what it means to play the right way. If you weren't on there, please watch that, because we talk about a lot of things in there that the good players that care and do it the right way are doing, and the kids that are not doing. And you need to be that guy that is doing it the right way when you're with your high school buddies and you're playing on your high school team, and people notice that. Okay. If you're the only guy sprinting on and off the field, guess who's standing out on that field? You are. If you're the only guy that walks and hustles down to first base rather than take his good old time, then you're the guy that's standing out. So at the minimum, do it for yourself. Okay. But do it to be a great example of kids watching you at that game. The middle schoolers that come watch the varsity game, do it for those kids. And I promise you, you'll be surprised at what you see the other kids doing when you consistently and never fail at doing it the right way. That's so important. And nothing makes me more proud as a coach is when I get reports of our guys being leaders on their high school team, because it's so easy to not be a leader. And it's so hard to be a leader all the time. It's so hard to do that. But make it a point to be that guy. And those are the guys that college coaches want to come to their school, that are going to help build their culture, help build their program, and win baseball games at that level. And those guys at that level have an entire roster of players like that. They don't recruit the kids that don't do it the right way. They recruit the kids that do it the right way and have the skills that can compete, certainly at their level. Okay, so be a leader, stick to your guns, do it the right way. I'm going to be trying to make as many of your high school games as possible. I might make a trip up northeast as well to see some of you guys, work with some of you guys. So we got a lot of fun ahead of us. Make sure we're doing it the right way. If you have any questions about routine, let me know. We're going to get kicked off here in 1 second. So appreciate you guys being on. I'll post the recording, but you guys